Thanks for tuning in for another Friday at Proline TV. Not many of these left. That's right. This is championship week in college football, week number 14 in the NFL. So unfortunately, those are words that I like to say because that means there are big games coming up in college football this week. But it's also kind of sad, isn't it, Mark, when you say things like it's championship week in college football and we're already into week 14 in the NFL.
Yeah, it really truly is, Greg. It's like, I guess it's like going on a date. You're having a blast, and all of a sudden you have to have her home by midnight, or she'll turn into pumpkin.
I mean, again, it works both ways, as we've said the last couple of weeks, because of the fact that you and I, especially you, the amount of work that you have to do for everything. And it's not over yet because you got the bowls coming up, which that's going to take. I mean, you got what, a week to put together your bowl extravaganza newsletter?
Come on, Mark doesn't ever do any work. Are you kidding me?
Thanks for reminding me, Jim. Yeah, it'll be about 10 days, Greg. They got to make the pairings, which isn't going to happen until obviously after this week, and about 8 or 10 days thereafter, we'll have everything ready. It's a chore, to say the least.
Yeah,
Am I late to the show? You guys are already cooking.
Oh, we've been here 30 minutes, Jim.
Yeah.
No. Live. 1 minute and 46 seconds. You're lying.
There you go.
Yeah. So the good news is, though, for everybody out there, that when it's all done, it's the best bowl newsletter on the planet. So anybody that wants to find out all sorts of cool nuggets regarding the bowl season, historical trends up to you-know-what, no better a bowl newsletter than what you're going to see. What's the name of it? Do you have you obviously have a name for it, right, Mark? What is it?
It's the Playbook College Bowl Guide is what it is.
Okay. Just got to keep it simple.
Right. The bowl
okay.
Guide. Plain and
Why
simple.
not? Yeah.
We'll
get a sponsor for it one of these years.
I'm going to rename it Solid Gold Bowls.
Solid Gold Bowls. I like that. Solid Gold Bowls. It's available at every strip club in the city.
Yeah, see? That's all we need to do.
And I want to know, how would you know that?
Well, I think Victor told me that. I think Victor. I'm going to brush up on him. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of Victor,
he did another great podcast today, as usual. He's always so well prepared.
That'll be available on the channel, probably somewhere. We're doing this live at 3:00 Eastern, so it'll probably be available sometime in the next 2 to 3 hours, so you can check that out. And specifically, Jim, what did you go over? Anything interesting? Tidbits?
Yeah, I shouldn't.
10-second tidbits, Jim? Anything?
He liked the bowl game. He gave that out. He gave out a couple of overs. He gave out an under. He gave out a 67-1 parlay.
Ooh, he gave away parlays and totals. I didn't know he gave away parlays.
He did.
Wow.
67-1. He hit a couple weeks ago, 23-1. He actually won it. This one's 67-1.
Now, were they just straight parlays, meaning, just games, lines, or were they
props like a player
money props, right?
Anytime TDs.
Got it.
3 players.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he knows this. He does a lot of work.
Yeah, no doubt. And yeah, you can't cheat it. No, you can't cheat the system. So if you don't put in the work, you don't get the results. We have, again, just a few more weeks to go, but week 14 started last night. And I don't know whether or not I'm willing to go into the fact that, Detroit, all of a sudden, they realized their back was against the wall. They came out, they played a great game, and now they're just going to cruise to the Super Bowl. But no doubt, they definitely played a better game than we've seen them play over the last few weeks. But that defense has got to get healthy, because even though Dallas is a high-powered offense, once again, their defense is just a sieve at this point.
Greg, they lost 3 more players last night on defense.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. And this team,
I can't remember the name.
Back on track. But they got yarded again, Jim. It's 3 straight games now. They got problems in Detroit now with injuries on top of it.
I mean, last year they lost half their defensive ball club. It's awful. But sometimes,
at least they still got Hutchinson, so that helps.
Well,
but
you can't
do it all.
You can't lose half your players.
No,
it's not.
Well, Kirby Joseph should be back soon, so that'll help him.
What happened to that improved Dallas defense? What happened to them?
Yeah, they got roasted. And really, in the first half, you could see it. You could really see it in the whole game. This is the problem with the Cowboys. This is what the problem with trusting them is. Now that they were on the road against a really quality football team, they just made too many mistakes. And this has been the problem with them is they just can't. They keep stubbing themselves in the toe and making dumb mistakes. It started, first of all, with, I don't know, with that fair catch. I don't know what he did. Did he not fair catch it? And then he tried to fair catch it late. I forget what the call was, but instead of the ball at the 10, the ball's at the 5, and they almost got a safety. But then they get field position and they score a touchdown on it. And then they had a couple other really big turnovers, stupid penalties, and you're not going to win a game like that against a good football team on the road. So,
they were in a bad situation, though. I have to say this, Dallas was. They caught a very angry Detroit Lions football team that was at home off an embarrassing home loss. And this football team has sputtered here. They had lost 3 of the previous 5 football games. Very uncharacteristic for Dan Campbell to drop 2 games in a row. So when he does lose a game, he really comes back the next game with sharpened teeth, if you will. So Dallas was up against it last night, at least situationally. And I wasn't surprised at the outcome. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I did see the stats. And once again, Detroit lost the yardage in the football game.
Wow. Okay. Well, injuries, we'll keep an eye on that. Both teams played back-to-back Thursday games. And taking a look at Detroit, they're going to be at the Rams next week. The Cowboys will be hosting Minnesota. So that's a good break there for the Cowboys to get back on the winning ways. Detroit,
the quarterback was the team with no quarterback.
Nope. And I mean, just imagine, wow. I don't understand how they could put themselves in that position and we talked about this before, with not having enough of a veteran presence that you can count on. They did try Wentz, but when he disappeared, they still basically just decided, okay, well, Max Prosmer, a rookie, what was he, a 6th or 7th round draft pick, is our backup. You couldn't find someone else? Some veteran? CJ Beathard's not out there?
Yeah,
you couldn't bring in someone?
Squad somewhere, at least somebody with some experience.
Yeah,
you can't throw him to the wolves like that at this stage of the football season here. I think that was a bad move on Minnesota's part, especially the head coach. I don't know what he was thinking there. I really don't.
Looks like the Vikings have punted on the season. It's just unbelievable.
It does.
That's what that does sound like. Yeah. But, well, you know what? This is the NFL, and we get these crazy swings every season. A lot of it has to do with the scheduling. I think that's the one thing that I like about the NFL, when they implemented this. I don't know how long ago. Do you remember when they implemented this? I never used to hear about the scheduling situation until about, 10, 15 years ago. And now, sort of like the Bears. Let's say the Bears go on to win the division. Well, next year, they'll get a first-place schedule. And then it wouldn't be surprising if they turn things around the opposite way. And all of a sudden, they're a 9-8 team or an 8-9 team because they're playing almost, a playoff team every week. So that's the thing I do like about what the NFL does there, to make sure things balance out. And it also helps with parity. So anyway, what about this week's games? Give me a game, you guys. If you had only one game to watch this week, they were going to black out every game that you can watch except one. Which game do you want to watch?
Mark's not allowed to watch any Cleveland Brown game. That's against the rule.
Even though my vote might have been cast for them, I can't watch them. You're right, Jim. I can't.
So give me a game. Give me a game, because there's some decent games this week. You've got Chicago and Green Bay is going to be a huge game. Philly and the Chargers, Houston and Kansas City. So Pittsburgh and Baltimore is a rivalry. It's a huge game in the AFC South. Give me a game that you guys.
I think I'd have to give you 4, because.
Well, give me one.
Well, Chicago.
Gotta give you one. I'm not allowing you to watch any other game, just one.
Oh.
Well, then he's going to pick up his marbles or go home.
Okay.
He's going to start playing pool.
So I can. Chicago, Green Bay.
Okay. And why?
Well, it's obvious. I mean, the number 1 seed in the league, head of the division, 7-point underdog on the road against Green Bay. There's no respect here with this line. Let me turn this off.
Were you surprised by that line, Mark? Because we did talk about that, Jim and I, on the show yesterday. Thought that was a very disrespectful line for the number 1 seed in the conference to be basically a 7-point dog. What do you think about that?
I was surprised at the number. I really, truly was. In fact, for some reason, I don't know what it is. In my head, I had this game at 3.5, and I was trying to make a bearish case for that number. And then lo and behold, I'm seeing 5.5. It's like, oh my God, what's going on here? I don't know if it's because of an admiration for, I know Jordan Love plays some pretty good football down the late stages of the season. Maybe they're not infatuated with what Chicago's done thus far this football season, but if they aren't, that's a big mistake because they've done a lot of really good things. It's all under Ben Johnson, and it's a confirmation that Caleb Williams is really coming on. Looks like he belongs in this league here. So you mix a new head coach with a lot of new enthusiasm and a quarterback that has an extra spark, an extra giddy up in his step here. That's the reason you find the Chicago Bears sitting on top of the division. That and the fact that they've averaged 195 rushing yards a game in the last 5 football games. They're just chewing it up on the ground.
It's bulletin board material. The coaches for Chicago put it up on the wall and they say, look, we're a 7-point underdog in this game. Nobody's given us a chance. Believe me, that works. That's bulletin board material, and it's good stuff. That's ridiculous. It's a terrible one.
You see games, Jim, that are 7-point underdog lines, and you're looking at the dog and you're asking yourself whether it's warranted or not, or whether the favorite can carry the weight. And more times often than not, you're mixing a good team to a bad team. This is not a good team to a bad team at all. And that's what is mystifying about this line here. I just don't get it. I really don't.
Well, like for example, Denver, even though they're on the road, they're a 7.5, 8-point favorite at Las Vegas.
Yeah,
horrible.
That sounds kind of low too, doesn't it?
Well, the fact that it's on the road, you never know, and that's different. But the other thing is Denver's kind of eating their food sometimes. Bo Nix is kind of hit and miss. But Tampa Bay against New Orleans, 7.5, 8. Basically, you look at that game and these teams should be 7.5, 8-point favorites.
Yeah, we're not doubting that line at all.
You look at the Green Bay Chicago game, you say, how the hell can they be any more than 3.5?
I don't understand it. Now, I thought for sure what we're going to find were injuries to the Chicago Bears side of the football game. I don't see or hear of any. Do you, Jim?
No.
On the Chicago side? No, I'm not either.
No.
Yeah, matter of fact, they've been dealing with a banged-up secondary all season, and they are supposed to get healthier at some point. I mean, Stevenson's out, but again, that's been something they've been dealing with for a while. I look over Chicago's injury report, and pretty much with all the injuries we have in the NFL this season, they're relatively healthy at this point in the season compared to a lot of other teams. So, yeah, that ain't it. And, of course, watch Green Bay go out there and destroy Chicago on Sunday. But one of these things, one of these weeks, Chicago's going to have an off week. It's going to happen. But we just don't know when it is. And I guess the lines makers believe it could be this week.
I think Chicago, this is the biggest game in the year for Chicago. Because, A, they're being disrespected. And B, everybody's favoring Green Bay to win this division, even though they're in first place. They're going to be geared up for this. This is not a flat spot. Like last week, the Rams went to Carolina. That was a flat spot for the Rams, and it showed up. Doesn't always show up, but it did. Chicago's not going to be flat. They might make some mistakes, but they're not going to be flat.
Nope. This is a huge game for the Chicago Bears. Just a big game. It's going to tell everybody exactly who they are and the fact that they're meant to be dealt with moving forward here. I'm just stunned at the line. I really, truly am.
Yeah, the Bears, if you take a look at their remaining schedule, they have one easy game left, and that is next week when they host the Browns. Then their final 3 games, they have a rematch with the Packers. Then they go on the road against San Francisco, and they host Detroit in the final game of the season. Wow, that could be a major game. If Detroit's just a game behind Chicago, that could be a monster game, especially with the Packers and that tie screwing things up with the standings. So, yeah. All right. So it looks like we still have a long way to go. Will all 3 teams make the playoffs in the NFC North?
Were you excluding the Cleveland Browns?
NFC North. Yes,
NFC,
I'm gonna.
okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
we're gonna. Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, we'll be lucky to have one team in the AFC North make the playoffs, but will 3 teams in the NFC North make the playoffs? Right now, Detroit is 8th, so it looks like they could do it. Do you think they will?
I think they will. I really do. I think there's 3 football teams that deserve to be in the playoffs for the way they played. Chicago on the come right now. Detroit, a body of work, maybe not playing their best football, but certainly talented, been there before. A lot more is expected from them than they delivered, and I think they're capable. Then you got the Green Bay Packers, who haven't really done a whole lot wrong this football season here. You could well see 3 teams out of the NFC North in the playoffs. Yes.
But the
Jim?
thing is, you got 4 teams that are going to make it from the divisions. And so you know who they are. I'm pretty much sure.
Yeah, it's probably these 4. Well, yeah, you got the North, you got the Rams, you got the Eagles, and you got the Bucks. So we feel pretty confident Seattle will make it. And then we feel pretty confident the Packers will probably make it. And then you got the Niners are the one team that's going to have to work, but they've got a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. And then you got the Lions, the Panthers, and the Cowboys.
Well, the Panthers, I mean, the Cowboys didn't do themselves any favor last night. That's for sure. And the Panthers will probably lose next week when they play Tampa. Speaking of Tampa, how many players are they getting back over the next 2 weeks?
They are definitely getting healthier. If we pop on their injury report here, with Bucky Irving returning last week, Godwin came back a couple of weeks ago. So they really don't have, I think Reddick is still out. So looking at this board right here, yeah, everybody that's out, that's on injury reserve, is not coming back. The only player that is on this injury report right now, I mean, Wirfs plays every week. The only key player that's on this injury report that might come back is this one right here, Kalijah Kancey. He's one of their best defensive linemen. He's been out all year. Everybody thought he was done for the year, but there's been talk that he could come back. And that's it. So they're actually as healthy right now as they're going to be, as they've been, and they're going to be the rest of the season. So that's good news in a way if you're a Bucs fan. You're back to getting a lot of those injured players back, including a couple of guys. Now, this is the other guy, I should say. This is the other guy I left out, Cody Mock. So I have no idea. Let me see. I have no idea when Cody's supposed to come back, but he is a guard, and everybody has, a couple injuries you got to deal with. So I don't think the Bucs are going to be. I'm not betting the Tampa Bay Bucs because Cody Mock is out. So, but those are the 2 guys. You got Cody Mock and Kalijah Kancey.
When you look at that, boy, I don't know how you feel, but I think they're very dangerous if they're healthy. But they haven't been healthy all year. That's the problem.
And their schedule eases up starting this week. So they start with the Saints this week. Then they are going to be on Thursday Night Football, hosting Atlanta this week. Then they'll have 2 out of their final 3 games of the season against Carolina, home and away. And sandwiched in between will be a road game in Miami. So Tampa Bay's schedule right now is really opened up, and they're going to be favored in the last 5 games of the season, and that puts them at about 11 wins.
Well, here's the thing about Tampa, guys, that I'm a little bit concerned about if I'm the head coach. if I'm Todd Bowles and I'm looking at our body of work this season here, and I see that all 5 of our losses this year have been against teams that will be in the playoffs. Those were against, look here, Philadelphia, Detroit, New England, Buffalo, and the Rams. So what happens when they make the playoffs? If they get healthy and they make the playoffs, will they be able to step up and finally knock off a playoff quality team? That's my issue, because they're going to close out the season with Sisters of the Poor here. And is that going to toughen them up, get them ready for the football playoffs? That would be my wonder going into the playoffs if it happens.
The only comment I could make with that, because what your statement there is very valid, is they didn't play any of those games healthy.
You're right.
Matter of fact, they haven't played any game healthy.
No.
They've had a 49ers type of year with all these injuries. What they do have is a very winning, determined quarterback with a pretty good coach, and a pretty good record. It's where San Francisco has a lot of the same kind of injuries, and a pretty good coach. They don't have the quarterback with the pedigree that a Baker Mayfield has.
And plus, those guys that have been injured for San Francisco, they're not coming back. So they have like 5 guys that are not coming back that are key pieces to their team. Tampa Bay has 1 guy, and that's Mike Evans. He's the only guy that's not coming back.
Tampa Bay wins this division. They're in the playoffs. They host 1 game.
Do you know for sure Mike Evans is not coming back, Greg? Because I thought I was reading otherwise.
Yeah, it's a serious knee injury.
Was it?
So it might have been maybe it was actually collarbone, but it was a serious enough injury that, again, the only player, I don't know whether or not was mixed up in the coverage, was the fact that they're getting Kancey back potentially. But yeah, Mike Evans is not coming back from what I've heard. We could do an update on it now. Keep in mind that Tampa Bay does have wins at Houston, at Seattle, and against San Francisco earlier this season as well. And Baker Mayfield, as you mentioned, Jim, you get them in the playoffs and you feel pretty good with Baker on your sideline that if it's a 4-quarter game and you need a quarterback to respond to get his team over the top, then Baker's the kind of guy that can do it, even if you're on the road.
He's got the personality that I want. I want somebody that doesn't mind being behind and is going to go out there and give it 100%. He's going to give up his body, his life, his limbs, everything.
And play injured in doing it. Yes, he will.
He's just that kind of guy.
Yep.
And I like that. And the other players on his team, they respect that because he is a warrior. I mean, a real warrior.
The other part of the equation here, guys, and I know there's a reason for it, but I'm going to mention this, is the Grim Reaper is said to be circling around Tampa Bay right now. And what he's circling around there for is really basically because this football team has lost the yards 8 straight games in a row. You don't lose yardage and win football games. Bottom line, plain and simple. Look at Philadelphia, who started the season and struggled. And look where they're at right now. Their offense ranks 25. Their defense ranks 26. Philadelphia's not even close to the team they were last year because they're not putting the effort on the field. They're getting pushed all around. Tampa has been pushed around here a lot. 8 straight games. That's, to me, I don't remember seeing a team favored by this many points who have lost the yardage 8 consecutive games in a row. And as you mentioned, Jim, there's a reason. The reason is his injuries. But can they come back and finally even this out and play a good football game? Because they're still not yet 100% healthy.
It's almost like in their mind, you don't need to win the yard. You just come back at the end when you're down.
Yep.
You get a score at the end. That's their style. It's kind of like the Grim Reaper. Yeah, it's that's who they are. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Turn that Baker Mayfield switch on.
They definitely do not create separation. That's for sure.
Right.
So this is the news you're talking about, Mark. It came out 2 days ago. So Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan returned to practice, and that opened up a 21-day window, which means at any time in the next 3 weeks, they have the opportunity to activate both players. McMillan, I'm absolutely shocked that he's returned to practice considering the neck injury that he had. So I certainly hope that he's doing well. But this would be absolutely huge if Tampa Bay can get Mike Evans back at any time during this 21-day window. So he suffered the clavicle injury, which again was at the time extremely serious. Thought he was going to miss the season, but now it looks like there's an opportunity for him. And that makes it even better, because if you bring Evans back along with Godwin and Irving and a relatively healthy offensive line, now all of a sudden the Bucs offense is looking exactly the way it did before the season began, the way it should look. And now all of a sudden you have a really nice sleeper on your hands. But Evans does have to come back. He still has to pass that test. But it's positive news. So anything, the fact that he's practicing is awesome. So, yeah, I'd be pretty stoked if I'm a Bucs fan about that news this week. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they have been. So, and let's take a look at the odds. You can see they're a heavy favorite to win the division, even though they are what? Are they just like a half game ahead of the Panthers in the division?
I think so.
Yeah, no, yeah, half a game. And there are minus 500 to plus 390, and they play each other twice in the next 5 weeks. That shows you how much faith.
So basically, if they split and then win the other games equally, Tampa's in.
Yeah, because
yes, as long as Tampa,
four of the last 5 games are division games. Yes,
and Tampa's got the extra game this week. So as Tampa wins the extra game this week, they'll go up a game, and then they just have to hold serve with Carolina. But I mean, again, with that schedule, Tampa Bay is in pretty good shape compared to Carolina's schedule. Taking a look there, and they come back.
Yeah, they're off this week.
They come back at New Orleans, and then they got the 2 games against Tampa. But unfortunately, in that sandwich game where Tampa will be in Miami, Carolina will be hosting Seattle. So that's
did Tampa have their bye already?
Yes.
Okay.
Matter of fact, if you look at it, remember when they were going into the bye and we talked about how much they needed the bye? They were so banged up. They were 6-2 going into the bye. And if you look at it now, they've actually regressed in a way since the bye, which is, I guess, not a surprise. They're 1-3 straight up, 0-4 against the spread since the bye. They were 6-2, 5-3 before the bye. They've beaten the Saints 6 out of 7, including the 20-point win on October 26th as a 4-point road favorite in that matchup. Do you guys have any faith that Houston can finally knock off Kansas City this
week? I do.
Well, they certainly bring the tools to the table for this game. They're playing some really, really good defense. Obviously, number 1 in the league. They won back-to-back games straight up as an underdog with that number 1 ranked defense. They're back in that role again, sort of a Rodney Dangerfield role for them. But you're looking at Kansas City here, who is kind of in the same role that per se that you find Pittsburgh and Baltimore in. They're sitting here at 500 and needing the game like blood. Now, whether that makes them a play in the game or not remains to be seen. I think all of that goes to the head coach and what he's done in situations like this before. Maybe Houston playing as good as they are catches Kansas City's fancy and they wake up for the football game. I hate betting on if comes, if a team, because they're in a situation they're going to play well. No, that doesn't make them play well. It just heightens the situation. But like Jim says, Houston's playing as good a football right now as they have all season long. And this defense of theirs is rock solid. With C.J. Stroud back as well.
Yeah, Houston, unfortunately, during this stretch over the last several years, has just not had any luck with this cheap team. Not many teams have, but Houston has just been 0. They're 0-4. Chiefs have beat them all 5 times, 2 playoff wins. But if there's any time for Houston to have some sort of an advantage, maybe at any time during this 5-game stretch, it would be this week. They've won 4 straight. The Chiefs have lost 3 out of 4. They've lost 4 straight covers, and both teams have been in a lot of close games over the last month, which is the reason why I think I just rather take Houston into 3.5, 4 points, because even if Kansas City wins, the way these two teams are playing, probably going to get a close game. Probably going to get like a 2 or 3 point win.
But it definitely looks like an under as well. So the points mean more when it's low scoring.
I want to show a really good point by one of our viewers, because this is something that you do have to keep in mind regarding how tough the playoff picture is in the NFC. Chicago, even though they're the number 1 seed right now, keeping in mind that they're leading the NFC North. So if the Packers win this week, they'll be 9-3-1. The Bears will be 9-4, meaning the Packers will have a half-game lead on the Chicago Bears, dropping the Bears all the way from 1, potentially all the way down to either 6th or tied for 6th, basically, and 7th. Tied for 7th, if you want to look at it from the negative point of view with the Niners. Just by losing 1 game.
This is even though there's not premium teams this year, it's very competitive, and it's crazy week to week. Crazy.
Do you guys trust at all that either the Chiefs or the Eagles, and if you had to pick one of them to wake up, do you think either of them will? Do you feel confident that they will? And if you had to pick one of those teams to wake up and make a run, who would you pick?
My pick would be Kansas City. Largely because of these horrible numbers I'm talking about with Philadelphia. They just continually keep getting beat in the yards every game they play. Kansas City, you put tape over the name of this team, they play some really good football statistically. Better than Andy Reid's teams have in the past, where they would oftentimes win games and lose yards, or play close one-score games and win those games. They're playing really, really solid statistically as Kansas City. They're the guy I think that could turn it around. This would be a huge win for this football team. They got the Chargers next, a layup against Tennessee, then Denver, and a layup against Vegas. So this is a critical game here for Kansas City. They would get my vote. I think Philadelphia is a little bit too full of themselves with Super Bowl, eating too much Super Bowl pie, if you will, the next year.
I would have to agree. Kansas City most likely. I mean, this is not an easy matchup with Houston. Houston's pretty good.
Yep.
But I would say Mark is right. Kansas City has a better chance of waking up.
Eagles are in a better position, but the Chiefs definitely are the Chiefs, and they've got those layup games you talked about. Plus, if they do beat Houston, as you said, Mark, then you would feel that type of confidence, that type of win would get them going. That would give them 7 wins. And then they would beat Tennessee and Vegas. That would give them 9 wins. And they would just have to split between the Chargers and Denver, and they're both at home. And they do that, that's 10 wins and more than likely a playoff spot.
Kansas City is one of only 5 teams in the league that ranks still in the top 10 offensively and defensively in yardage. Philadelphia ranks 24th and 25th in offense and defense. This team has fallen completely off the map. And I think there's too much love and respect for them going into the Chargers. I think they're in there on name and reputation alone, period. Now, I know the Chargers got some injuries, but I think Philadelphia's playing a lot of this based upon what they did last year. I
wonder what that line would be, Mark, if Herbert didn't have that surgery on his hand.
That's a good question.
Well, at this point in time, I think most people are pretty confident that he's going to play. So
he's going to play.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you really think that's part of it, that they think that he's not going to be at his best because of the injury, even though it's not on his throwing hand?
He can't be on his best, but the possibility of getting hit again, fumble the ball,
taking a snap, right? Exactly.
Left-handed handoff, all that kind of stuff is all possible. I mean, you're not 100% when you have surgery on your hand, and a couple of days later you're out there playing football. unless the Philadelphia decides to be really nice to him and not hit the hand.
Right. Okay.
Oh yeah, they're real nice people in Philadelphia too.
Yes. It is amazing. I gotta tell you, I don't know. Maybe they just, it's like they feel like they've got to play the role. I know that's not it, because it's just the role they play as fans is just a fact. But it blows my mind as a Jet fan, meaning a fan of a team that has lost 15 straight years of making the playoffs. It blows my mind that you could win 2 Super Bowls in 4 or 5 years, and at some point as you're defending your second Super Bowl during the season, your home team is booing you. It blows my mind.
Well, you can never make the customer happy.
Well, in Philadelphia, that's the whole point. No, that's the point. Philadelphia fans suck. Philadelphia fans are the hardest on their teams.
I remember years ago, I gave out 8 plays for the weekend. They won 7 of them, and I got a bunch of crap before I lost the one game.
Well, that's different.
Yep. You blew his parlay, Jim.
And Mark knows that. It happened.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm talking about fans at a game. Not talking about, customers who aren't respectful of you.
And they don't even come back the next week to buy your stuff again either.
No.
After 7-1.
No, he's a bum. He's 7-1. He was a bum.
Yeah, customers.
God, Fezzik, who we all know, Mark knows, I know.
Yep.
He's been winner for years. He's gone on a bad run on Twitter and stuff. They've knocking the hell out of him, and he's defending himself. And I told him the other day, stop defending yourself. You're just putting fuel on the fire. And these people just don't know the reality of this. It's hard. You're going to have streaks where you lose, but the people don't understand that.
No.
And Fezzik, I'll follow him rather than book him. For God's sake, he's definitely great. And
it's a what have you done for me lately world we live in, Jim. That's what it is. Unfortunately,
it's the world we live in.
And some of those people, I don't think it's that they're ungrateful or stupid. I just think some of them just like to be assholes. That's what they like to do.
Greg, it's not really being stupid. It's sometimes just being uneducated about what the realities are.
No, I'm saying I'm sure some of them are. You got
some people out there. I've seen ads for people. I hit 9 out of 10 every week. I'm guaranteeing plays, and they believe that crap.
Yeah,
which is not. If you hit 57% on a consistent basis throughout your life, you're a rich man, a happy man, and nobody's taking anything away from you.
Exactly. Right.
And that's
come on now. I see some people saying 65%, 70%. That's what they get. That's what they do every year. 65, 70% winners, baby.
Well, those are the uneducated that Jim just talked about.
God bless you when you buy their picks. Dollar Loan Center will lend you money.
Dollar Loan Center. Yep. Everybody gets a coupon for the Dollar Loan Center every time they buy their selections.
First time the Chargers are in a dog roll since week 1. They have not been a dog since their week 1 upset over the Kansas City Chiefs. And after they play Philadelphia, they're at Kansas City. They're at the Cowboys. They host Houston, and then they're at Denver. That might be the toughest 5-game schedule to end the season in any team in the league. And that's what the Chargers are dealing with. So
they probably missed the playoffs with the offensive line injuries and the broken hand and all that. There's a couple guys here we should probably answer some of these comments, Greg. The biggest mistake is parlays for the most part, but that's a whole nother segment. It's not totally a mistake. The Eagles 2-5 against the Chargers. That's too small of a sample size for me. The Bears.
We're answering these questions then.
We talked about the Bears 1 loss away from 7th. That's interesting. Bengals +6 plays. Patriots next weekend. The Bengals could win that division. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Buffalo's not playing well. Nobody's playing well in that division. It's possible for them to step up and win that division,
especially with Burrow back right now.
He doesn't play defense. For damn it, the defense played good when he came back.
Yeah, unbelievable, wasn't it?
I know.
Well, they're 8-1 to win the division. And I'm going to admit, I've already put money on the Bengals to win the division and win the Super Bowl. I got them at 100-1 to win the Super Bowl. I said, why not? I put $10 there. I got $1,000. Why not?
Why not?
I mean, all they got to do is get to the playoffs with Joe Burrow.
I think there's a reality of winning the division. I don't think the reality is the Super Bowl, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because this is one of those seasons that, just think of it. If it's the Patriots, they're not used to being in this position. It's the Colts. They're not used to being in this position. Denver, they're not used to being in this position. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but right now that's the way it looks. What do you guys think about the AFC South? Because we just talked about Houston, and the Colts are hanging in there. Houston, we mentioned this last week. We advised everybody, hey, Houston would be a good play at 7-1. And I think that's looking pretty good right now. They're now 3-1.
I made that play. I also bet the Colts to miss the playoffs.
And what do you guys think about the way
What
this
do you think
division
of that one, Mark?
About Houston, Jim?
Well, I bet the Jags and I bet Houston. And I bet the Colts to miss the playoffs.
I like all three legs of what you just bet there. That's exactly how I would look at it. I think it's a Jacksonville, Houston right to the wire push, and I think the Colts are going to get edged out just because of the sloppy defense that they play, and it's biting them now. And now I'm a little bit surprised. Are you that they're favored in there at Jacksonville?
Yeah, because I mean Jacksonville has owned them there, and Danny Dimes has got the broken fibula.
Yeah,
I mean I don't understand that.
I don't get it at all. 9 straight wins in a
10.
row. Right.
10 straight at home. That's crazy.
Yes, it is.
And they've come.
I'm not saying I love Jacksonville, but this doesn't seem to be the right line.
Another disrespectful line is not as bad as Chicago. You're talking a touchdown there. Here you're talking a point or two. But I keep preaching that I never ever second guess the odds maker because he does a masterful job. He's a better handicapper in most likelihood than all of us. Okay. And I don't mind saying that because that's what he gets paid to do. But I'll handicap the line that's there. And the line that's there in the Bears game, I'll gobble up the points with the Bears. And the line that's there in the Houston, Indianapolis game this particular week, it's woefully wrong, woefully short. So what do you end up doing in a situation like that? The only thing Indianapolis has working for it in their favor in this football game is a little thing that we call do more, do less. And it's an old Jim Barnes theory that we used to do. And it comes into the favor of Indianapolis in this football game. And it's largely against Jacksonville for what they've done here of late. They've won and covered 3 in a row. But again, that's a theory. I'm looking at the two teams as they're stepping onto the field here, and I'm wondering why the Colts are favored in this football game.
Yeah, Jags have won 3 straight up and against the spread by an 87-33 margin, while the Colts have lost 3 out of their last 4. So this is, and again, as Jim said, Jags have won 10 straight at home against the Colts, and they've won both of their games this year as a home dog. They upset the Chiefs and they upset the Chargers. And as far as the schedules are concerned, the one thing that favors Jacksonville is that, let's say they split with the Colts. They do get the Jets next week, and they end the season in the final game home against Tennessee as the Colts and the Texans are playing each other in Houston. So this is going to be pretty crazy.
That's interesting because, even though the Jets are really not very good, they're a lot better with Tyrod Taylor.
Yes, they are.
And that would be a very dangerous game for the Jacksonville because they're going to probably be if they win this game, they might have a little flat spot. that could be dangerous for them. They'd have to be real careful.
And the Colts have no gimmies. Houston and Jacksonville have some gimme games, but Colts have no gimmies. Colts are going to be at Seattle next week. So
that will not be fun, especially if Seattle loses this one.
And also, as I mentioned before, you've got this AFC North rivalry, Pittsburgh and Baltimore matching up. I'm not sure anybody really outside of Pittsburgh or Baltimore wants to watch this game.
Well, that's the one game I want to watch, Greg.
There you go, AFC North guy.
You know, misery loves pain. Mark just likes to line up.
There's a lot of great things inside this.
I would rather watch grass grow.
You know, 20 of the last 44 games have been decided by 3 or less points in this series. That's absolutely mind-blowing. 20 out of 44 by a field goal or less.
Unbelievable.
And Mike Tomlin now, they're both 6-6, so they both need the game like blood. There's no question. And I looked at Mike Tomlin in his NFL career. What does he do in games when his team sits dead even at 500? He's been there 12 times. He's won and covered 11 of them. So, you know, he's had this persona about never coaching a losing team. Well, when they sit at 500, it's the U-turn that he makes that next game. He doesn't want to dip back under and become a losing team at this stage and point. So he's sitting on an 11-1 straight up and against the spread roll as a dog in this particular role. I should have clarified that. As a dog in this particular role, he's won 11 out of 12 times straight up.
Love it.
Yeah.
Especially since you're getting close to 3-1 on the money line in the game. So I think that's definitely looking for a nice little money line play this week. That's as good as any that are out there.
You know, you got Aaron Rodgers that factor in this football game here as well. You got two quarterbacks that are really struggling, not on their game. Lamar Jackson, I don't think he's healthy. You know, he hasn't. He practiced on a Wednesday. He didn't practice Thursday. What does that tell you? He's not right. Aaron Rodgers hasn't seen a good year since I think he came out of California. Out of Cal. But he is very, very good in division games when his team is coming off a loss. Aaron Rodgers, 22-6 to the spread, 21-7 straight up when they lost and failed to cover their previous game. I think this is a game where Rodgers needs to and has to step up. And being at home in this particular football game, I think he gets the job done here.
Well, Rodgers is not at home.
No, I'm sorry. Being the dog in this game. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Being the dog.
Pittsburgh will be hosting Miami on Monday Night Football next week, and Baltimore will be at Cincinnati for a rematch with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, who are playing in Buffalo. Speaking of nice money line plays, the Bengals are getting 5.5, about plus 220, I think, plus 240, somewhere like that on the money line. And Joe Burrow has never lost to Josh Allen. He's 2-0, including a playoff win.
Wow.
And
that's a small sample size.
Yeah, that won't get him into the Hall of Fame, right?
No. No. That's, by the way, the Bengals schedule, after they host Baltimore next week, their last 3 games are against losing teams at Miami, Arizona, Cleveland.
Mark, it looks like Miami's going to be playing on the road in cold weather 2 straight weeks.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't bode well for Tua or Miami. They don't do well. They're outdoors 2 straight cold weather weeks, and God only knows what the weather in Pittsburgh will be next week.
Yeah, that's the frozen fish factor, Jim. When Miami has to go up north and play in the month of December, oh my God, the results aren't even close to anything that are respectable, not even close. And they're never any good in December as it is anyway, especially on the road and especially up north. So they're going to have a real tough time, a tough go of it. They've won 3 in a row and 4 of their last 5, but they haven't overwhelmed in the yards. They've been outgained 3 of the last 4 games. I think Miami's a fraud, if you will, per se. And the Jets are playing a little bit better, like you said, with Tyrod Taylor here. I think Miami could get exposed in a football game like this if the weather cooperates. And then next week in Pittsburgh, oh my God, what if it's 0 in Pittsburgh next week?
A night game.
Yeah,
in December.
A Monday night game on top of it. Yes.
Thomas said it's 15 degrees in Pittsburgh right now.
Oh boy.
Well,
but that's a week away from that game,
right?
But still, it gives you a pretty good idea. 15. That makes me cold just reading it.
Well, I'm going to give you a place that's going to be colder this week because this is the first week this season that we have a lot of weather issues. So let's take a look. In Cleveland, likely snow with Tennessee and Cleveland, 34 degrees, little wind. By the way, Minnesota fans are happy that they're in the dome because it's 9 degrees on Sunday in Minnesota. Of course. Now, look, I would prefer, since I'm not a season ticket holder in Minnesota, that they did not have a dome, because I remember those days watching the Minnesota Vikings play outdoors, and those were the days. So let's move on. Jets in Miami, speaking of the Dolphins, it'll be 36 on Sunday, almost freezing. Let's move on. Rain expected in Tampa Bay with the Saints and the Bucks. Rain. Let's move on. Rain in Jacksonville with the Colts. That's expected. Let's move on. Definite snow showers in Buffalo with the Bengals and the Bills. So that's nice. We get to see some snow with Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Let's move on. 11 degrees at Lambeau on Sunday.
Oh, my God.
Luckily, there's no wind. 11 degrees. And we move on. 21 degrees, Kansas City on a Sunday night.
Nice and balmy. Yeah.
That's the biggest negative for Texans.
Yep.
Indoor team playing outdoors at 21 degrees. That is not positive.
No.
So a lot of this is the first time all year so far we're getting a lot of conditions on the same day, on the same weekend. So that's December football.
Excuse me, Jim, that does fall into a theory of mine that I used to use religiously, and that was fading dome teams in the month of December playing outdoors. Whether the weather is cold or whether it's not, and it usually is, there's still an indoor climate control team outdoors in the month of December, and the temperature cannot be like anything close to temperature controlled indoors. It's really nice fading these dome teams in the month of December when they're outside. Really good.
Look at how many we have this week. Quite a few. We got quite a few. Seattle? No, Seattle's outdoors. Excuse me. Indianapolis.
Yep.
Okay. New Orleans.
Yeah, it's going to be a little balmy. It's beautiful here. It's like 80, but nonetheless, it's still outdoors. Go ahead.
Well, Indianapolis is playing in Jacksonville, right? That's not too terrible. We got Houston. Is that it? Just 3?
You talking about dome teams on the road this week?
Yeah.
Dome teams outdoors this month.
Yeah, Houston, New Orleans, the Colts, and that's it. Houston. Oh, Dallas, but no, that was yesterday. And
Houston's the guy that is most likely, probably like to suffer because of that condition this week.
Plus, it's at night.
Yeah, it'll be even colder.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only negative for that, or one of the negatives for them.
All right. So there you go, Jim. You have maybe a pick that you want to give our viewers before you depart for the weekend?
Oh boy. Let me think about that.
Maybe a future.
While Jim's thinking about that, I'm going to throw a big, ugly dog out there. Not big, but an ugly dog out there.
An ugly dog.
Ugly, as ugly as they come.
Okay.
As ugly as they come. That's the
Titans.
Titans.
There you go. Titans.
See, I'm not. I don't have an allegiance to Cleveland when it comes to my betting with my pocket. Okay.
You will never be able to go back there.
Just don't let this be shown in Cleveland, Greg. That's all I ask.
Okay.
I got to share this with everybody out there. There was a site out there, real popular, called StatFox. Okay, and StatFox was around a long time, 15, 20 years, and they folded up, and they were replaced by something called StatSharp. And StatSharp is it's primarily a database-driven website, and they do a lot of systems, a lot of angles, and everything. And I'm going to share with you what I read there today, and this is pretty neat. What you do in the NFL after the first month of the season, a team is a road dog, and they're on a 7-game or longer losing streak. Those teams are 42-15 against the spread when they're mired in a long losing streak, and they're as road dogs in the second half of the season. That gives you Tennessee this week. It also gives you Washington, by the way. 2 teams in this big ugly dog roll this particular week.
Washington's favored, though.
Yeah, now, yes. Okay. This was, I believe when I read it, it was all about not sure if Jaden Daniels is going to be quarterbacking and everything else, and all the good things in there. And then if the expectancy of McCarthy coming back, which I think is garbage anyway, it doesn't matter. But officially, the play would be Tennessee this week.
Wow, that's a hell of a stat.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong stat. It's that dog that nobody wants, because the dog has fleas and nobody wants to touch it.
Okay, so you want to play? I'm going to give you a play. I'm going to give you the Rams in Arizona over the total.
Okay. And that is?
That is what?
Over.
Oh, okay. 47.5.
Okay.
Brissett has made them a lot more efficient than Murray was. Murray shouldn't even be a football player. I'm sorry.
He should be a baseball pitcher.
That's too late now.
Yeah, I agree with that. But they can put up points. I mean, they're not the best team in the world. The Rams, they're very good. Might be the best team. We don't know that, but at times we think they are. And that's a game where they're going to put. If they lost that game at Carolina, this is the division game. They're going to be really focused for sure. McVay has a way of bringing them back. He's a good coach. And Stafford, of course, is very good. I see a lot of points. I mean, I don't see what we saw last night with Detroit and Dallas, but I see definitely in the 50s.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So there you go. Over LA, Arizona. Jim, appreciate your time as always. Again, want to remind everybody that the interview and the weekly video Jim did with Victor King, that's going to be available in the next couple hours. You have the video this week with Andy later as well?
In a little bit of time.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little break and then do that video.
No, you're going to do that now, Jim. You're not taking a break. You're going to do it now.
You see how he talks to me, Mark?
My school teacher didn't talk to me that way.
You took the words out of my mouth. I feel like I'm back in third grade.
You would think you had cancer or something like that. Come on, Jim.
Okay, so we're not going there today, but
No, I guess we won't.
that's a different video.
Yes.
Another story
yes,
for another
we'll work
second.
on that. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I was
Thanks,
a bad
Jim.
I was a bad student back then. You know, I was.
No.
I might turn around and slug you. You know, so you gotta watch out. And then I went into the Golden Gloves and fought in that for a couple of years.
Speaking of Philly fans, right? You
Well,
would know.
I was born in Philly,
You were born in Philly.
but I'm not a fan of anything.
No.
Just
Fan of
cashing
yourself.
tickets. Cashing tickets. That's the only thing that matters.
That's
See
right.
the cashier. That's what Scott Pritchard says. He's a good handicapper, by the way.
Yes, he is.
See the cashier.
Yep.
Nice one.
Take care, guys.
Thanks,
Hey,
Jim.
Jimmy, have a great weekend. Okay, be well. Tell Raj we said hey.
You do the same
All right,
thing
bye-bye.
with Colleen. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I was taking a look as we turn our attention to college football because we were going over during the season each week. We would go over some of the futures out there that everybody should be keeping an eye on. And I was trying to locate exactly if we have like the date that we talked about this specific one, but I can't find it. But anyway, it's available on one of our videos, and that is because I'm trying to get the exact number that we gave for the Heisman as far as a Heisman sleeper. And I believe the number was somewhere like around, I don't know, between 20 and 40 to 1 or something on Diego Pavia. And now he's sitting there, Mark, as basically the co-favorite.
Well, basically the 3-hole, I think it isn't it Sayin and the Mendoza this weekend, I think.
And now you got basically a whoever loses is out.
Yep.
And then it'll be the Pavia against one of them.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And so there you go. So look, bottom line is if you took Pavia, you can hedge your bet after this weekend.
Yes, you can.
You don't even have to wait, actually. You can just do it now. because I would think that maybe the line probably even comes down a little bit after it's a 2-man show.
It will come down a little bit
Yeah.
once it's official. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will,
So,
for sure.
So do it now. If you have Pavia, when we gave it out, go ahead and hedge it now before it comes down even further. Look, the whole reason, and I just really hope this happens, because this would put the award back to where it needs to be, and it's never intended to be about who's the best. Which is the quarterback on the best team, which is basically what it's become. It's just become, all right, yeah, quarterback, good team, good stats. He gets the Heisman. No, they've got the Johnny Unitas Award. That's what that award's for. Give that to that. There's a couple of quarterback awards. That's what you give them. The Heisman Trophy Award needs to be special. It needs to be about somebody that does something special, somebody that elevates a team that without him, they would be practically nothing. And I know Mendoza is, I think, a little bit more in that line than Sayin is.
But Pavia is as well.
But Pavia is leaps and bounds ahead of both of them based on what he's done at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, Sayin comes from pedigree, okay, Alabama.
Yeah.
Pavia comes from New Mexico State, I believe.
Yeah.
Mendoza, I don't know where he came from, another small school. So, it is indeed, I think it's Pavia, the guy that's really elevated the program the most. I think the proof is in 2 years of work for a team that has been a stone dead last place team for as long as I've been looking at, following, and handicapping college football, Vanderbilt.
It's a shame that we're going to have to, it's sort of like as fans, we continue to get screwed all the time when it comes to this whole playoff stuff. When it was 4 teams, we would get screwed when they would leave teams like Florida State out when they shouldn't have been left out because Travis got hurt. And there were other examples. And now that there's 12, we're getting screwed because Vanderbilt's not getting in. And I think it's really bad for college football itself. You would think, and this is why the NCAA is ridiculous and they don't know what they're doing. Because if they were actually run properly, like a regular business that wants to market their property, you would have to have Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt in the playoffs. You need them in the playoffs. That builds up the watching power. The people want to see that. People don't want to see like James Madison or I don't know. We'll throw in even Oklahoma. Unless you're in Oklahoma, nobody wants to see this version of the Oklahoma Sooners in the tournament. They don't have anything sexy, or they're a defensive team.
Where is Vanderbilt right now in the current ranking, Greg?
I think they're 14. I'll pop it up.
Yeah, they need to worm their way in because they would be a nice draw for sure. They'd be the underdog. Everybody would wrap their arms around.
Yeah, but they just don't. They just don't have a chance, and that's because, look, last week they moved Texas ahead of Vanderbilt. Now Texas had to win over Texas A&M, but Vanderbilt blew out Tennessee on the road, which was also an impressive win. And they let Texas catapult their way over both Utah and Vanderbilt. So without Vanderbilt playing a game, they're already behind Texas now and Miami.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here, okay? They're sitting there right now at number 14 with 2 losses. Ahead of them is Texas with 3 losses. And if they subscribe to the way I believe, no 3-loss team should be in this playoffs. So if we exclude Texas, okay, all they need is one of these other 2-loss teams that are ahead of them to lose. Can you say goodbye, Alabama? And I know Notre Dame's not getting a lot of love these days. So if Georgia beats Alabama, you might see Vanderbilt making it into the top 12.
So the problem is from what I've been hearing is that even if Alabama, this is the thing that just I don't understand this, is that, look, I don't even know how Alabama jumped Notre Dame last week. How can you jump Notre Dame when you barely beat Auburn? How is that impressive? It's like the thing that people are looking at that they're afraid of if you're in Notre Dame is that they're afraid that this was done on purpose. Because the committee has said things before like, well, we're not going to judge teams like Notre Dame and Miami in a head-to-head situation unless they're next to each other. Unless it's Notre Dame 10, Miami 11, Notre Dame 9, Miami 10. So mystically, they moved Alabama ahead of Notre Dame for no stupid reason.
To box Notre Dame out.
So if BYU winds up losing to Texas Tech, that moves Miami up right behind Notre Dame. And then they can get their head-to-head conversation and say, okay, well, Miami beat Notre Dame. We're going to move Miami ahead of Notre Dame.
Yep. That's
what people in Notre Dame are concerned about.
Good, because they need to get their ass into a conference is what they need to do.
The problem is they're making, and I had my Notre Dame guy brought this up with him before, and he just said the problem is they are making so much money with NBC that there's just no reason for them to be a conference team. They've got their own channel, their own network, and they're making $1 gazillion because of it.
Greg, let me tell you this story here real quickly.
Sure.
A good friend of mine, Tom Scott, rest his soul, he passed about 6 years ago, lived in South Bend. And he would invite Colleen and I, my wife and I, over to his house for Thanksgiving. We'd have great dinners. He was a masterful cook. We go to Notre Dame football games. Oh. So I got to know a little bit about the Irish whenever I would go visit Tom. And so I'm at the first time I'm there, and we're walking into the stadium, and all kinds of parking on the lawns of the people, because parking was really scarce and people would let you park on their lawn for a fee. Okay. Well, I found out that they may charge you $20 or $30 to park on their lawn for a fee, but Notre Dame took a cut of that $20 or $30
from the people who owned the property.
From the homeowner, yes.
How could they do?
Because they monitor it. Okay, those cars are parked in there. They
wow.
Go in there, they could take a tally and a toll, and they're going to tell that person, okay, we see 5 cars here, and you owe us $125. That's the greed that lives within Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, that's the way I used to feel as well. And unfortunately, this is what they said, that Notre Dame they're making so much money on their own that they don't need any help by being in a conference. I mean, for football, right? Because they are already in basketball, that we'd rather be by ourselves. And if they get knocked out of a championship because of it, they don't care. So yeah, that's unfortunate. And then Alabama. See, this is the other thing that I don't get, is how there are a lot of people that believe that that Alabama's already in, that they don't even have to win unless they get blown out. So how does a 9th ranked team lose their 3rd game and not move 2 spots, 3 spots? And apparently they're saying, it's not going to matter. Alabama will be in anyway, which again is the reason why I'm just, and here's the other thing about head-to-head. Well, it doesn't matter. Alabama, Vandy, Alabama beat them. Well, it doesn't matter. Miami, Notre Dame, Miami beat them. Well, a couple of things. First of all, the games were not on a neutral field. No. Vandy had to go to Alabama. Right. Notre Dame had to go to Miami. How is that fair to the road team? And forget about Miami and Notre Dame. You can't say head-to-head matters. That was the first game of the season. You had a veteran quarterback for Miami against a young, first-time starting quarterback for Notre Dame. And you're telling me that Notre Dame is not a completely different team and that quarterback is not a completely different quarterback 11 games later in his first season? Come on.
Yeah, really. Come on.
But that's the thing with the committee, is they just make things up the way that they want to. They'll say one thing. Matter of fact, they even I was reading in The Athletic. I don't know if you caught it, but they had a whole bunch of articles this week about the contradictions from what they've said like a few weeks ago compared to what they're saying now. Like a few weeks ago, they said something along the lines when they brought up Miami Notre Dame thing, I think it was, and they said something along the lines of, well, we don't need to. Actually, no, it was I think it was the Alabama. But anyway, the bottom line is they said one thing about one question that was asked, and then 3 or 4 weeks later, they basically flipped it. And the article went on to say that this is not a good thing for the NCAA to have this type of a show on, because it makes them look bad. Because they 4 weeks prior, they'll say one thing and we have you on video saying it. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, because you want the narrative to be spun the way you want it to, you'll just say something completely different, not realizing you just said something different 4 weeks ago.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know. It just drives you crazy. And I honestly never thought we'd be here, because things have changed so much in the transfer portal that now there's so much parity. Because remember, when there was 4 teams just 2 or 3 years ago, we just felt, because of the way college football was, well, those were the dominant teams. You had 3 or 4 dominant teams every year. And okay, yeah, you'd have a 5th team or a 6th team, but we'd say, oh, it's ridiculous. Why would we care about the 10th or 12th team? Because they'd have no chance of beating those 2 or 3 teams at the top. But now the game has changed. And now anybody can beat anybody. And so now I'm actually sitting here complaining about 12 teams now, which I never thought I would do.
In this week's Playbook newsletter, we feature the college championship games, and we have write-ups in every one of them. And one of our fellows, who's one of our college writers, who's terrific, by the way, a terrific read, he took a stance about bring back the BCS. For all of what we're living through here right now, bring back the BCS and get rid of all this BS. That there's Notre Dame BS, this 3-loss BS. Just bring back the BCS and let's see where we would go from there.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen, but I understand exactly where he's coming from.
Yep.
Here's the quote actually from the Point. It was there was a, let's see. He says the committee chair regarding Vanderbilt said, now that Tennessee is no longer ranked, they just don't have a signature win. Speaking of Vanderbilt. And then he goes, the writer says, which is quite convenient and interesting, considering the chair had gave Alabama credit for gutting out a win at Auburn. And that was part of the reason they moved Bama ahead of Notre Dame, keeping in mind that the same Auburn team was used as criticism against Vanderbilt a few weeks ago because Auburn took them to overtime.
Wow.
So they just say things. They just want to, because that's the team they want in. And I don't even know if it's the chair that is the one that really wants to say this, because everybody else is making these decisions. It's not just one guy. It's almost like I don't know if I should feel bad for the chair guy, because he's getting all this information and he has to defend it. And then he has to defend it in a completely different scenario 3 or 4 weeks later. And he's the one that looks like an idiot.
Yes, he does. Right.
So if I'm in that position, I don't want to be in that. I don't want that job. Don't give that to me.
Just dumped on his lap.
Yeah, probably. But
by the way, Greg, what I just alluded to about bring back the BCS, that's Dave Lamont, by the way. And
okay.
Yeah, he's the fellow that writes the college football. Okay.
Yes. All right. Yeah.
The skill he has, and the reason I'm bringing up for our viewers and listeners out there that we're presently talking with Dave and his partner about doing some stuff on Proline TV. And when and if it happens, it'll just be another strong addition to our platform here, because Dave is multi-talented. He used to call games on ESPN, and he's got a wit and a way about him that is second to none.
Yeah, what we did talk about, one of the things we talked about, and it will come true hopefully if Miami ends up in the playoffs, was Dave actually doing the game as it happened on our channel.
Oh, well, that'd be nice, huh?
Now, again, we can't show the game, but you can watch the game. Just like if a lot of people out there don't like to listen to the national game, and they'll lower it, and they'll listen to their favorite local guy.
Right.
So that's the same way it would work here. Is Dave, being a Miami grad, would do the game. He'd have his partner Gary Allen there, and then we'd probably have guests in there. Maybe all of us would probably chip in for 15 minutes during the game and sit in and talk about the game. And so, but again, that's one of the things we're working on, and that would only be if they make the playoffs. Now, of course, we could do it for a bowl game as well, and maybe we'll do that. The thing I fear, though, again, Mark, is last year's bowl season was so ridiculous, as you know. it must really irk you to no end with all the time and effort you put into all the historical information, which is all good information, as we know. It's awesome information. It must irk you to no end to then have to sit there for the next week or two leading up into the bowl games to see all of these players. I'm not playing. I'm going to the portal. Coaches going to other teams. And you're left with like third and fourth string players playing in bowl games.
I have one word for that, Greg: despicable. It's something that the NCAA should get a handle on and be able to control, but they don't. The spineless people that the NCAA is. But there's nothing worse, as you say, to get down into bowl season. You begin handicapping it, and all of a sudden, a running back and a wide receiver or a quarterback are going to sit out because they want to protect their health and their status for the draft, or a coach is leaving for another school and he doesn't want to coach that football team. What on God's green earth did you even play the season for if you weren't going to be playing in a bowl game? That it just frosts me to no end, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I just know what's going to happen again because nothing has changed, and I don't even care about, to tell you the truth, the bowl matchups either, because I don't even get the matchups I want to see. They always put these, well, we have to have this conference against this conference, and so we're kind of pigeonholed in a way, and then you get these ridiculous, silly matchups that I don't even have any interest in.
Right. Yeah, you get the sixth team from the American Athletic Conference playing the fifth seed from the Conference USA. Let me buy a ticket for that game. I don't even know who it is or when it's going to play, but my goodness, like you say, they're all pigeonholed, and it really takes away from, I think, the intrigue of the bowl games.
Yeah, what we want to see is all right, let's say the loser of the North Texas Tulane game, have them play the Michigan, have them play or Oregon, Oregon's in the playoffs. Have them play one of the best Big Ten Power Four conference teams that's not in the playoffs. That's what we want to see. We want to see those types of matchups.
Or have them play a team that's playing this weekend that lost. Okay, so they both come in off losses with chips on their shoulders, and they're both good football teams. That would be worthwhile to watch something like that. But not the way that it is right now. We could talk to the cows come home about the NCAA, but there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it, unfortunately.
And because it's funny, speaking of the American, because both teams have lame duck coaches. So you've got the two coaches who are leaving for Oklahoma State and Florida, and they're going to be coaching in the championship game. And I guess they're going to still coach them through the playoffs.
I would think if they do this, they'll do that. Yes.
Yeah. So it's at least they're both doing it. If one did it and the other was staying, it would be a major advantage, you would think, for the coach that was staying. But they're both leaving, and that's another thing they got to figure out. As far as all the games this week, do you? And then I just want to remind everybody, if you want to find out, there are 2 games. Speaking of college football, and also 2 games in the NFL that Mark has for picks that are only available on our YouTube membership platform. So you just had to hit that join button. That's it. Very simple. Hit the join button on the video, and you can check out picks for our YouTube membership platform. Mark's picks are $39.99. Jim's are $49.99. And then we have a bundle package for $99. This is for a month, not for the week. This is the entire month. You get those rates locked in. And the reason that Jim's are $10 more is because you get Mark's and Jim's picks if you go with Jim's tier. Right. Yeah, so that's why you get a much bigger advantage, keeping in mind if you go with Jim's tier, not only do you get Jim's football picks, but Jim will be doing basketball a lot earlier than Mark. Mark won't be dialed into basketball until January, I believe. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. I've been doing, some people, when they have work and then they have their hobbies and they read different things, or they read stuff that they just not pertaining to the business at hand. Well, this is football season, so it's everything, as we're all into football research and all this. So, but for the past 3 or 4 weeks, every time I have about 15-20 minutes extra time, instead of just watching something else or relaxing, I'll grab the college basketball. This is my favorite college basketball magazine, by the way, Lindy's. So I'll grab my Lindy's book and I'll go through all of the teams and all of the conferences. And then I'll do some research online. After I do that, and I finally finished it, and I'm already. I mean, I'm ready to actually put out a college basketball video in the next week where I'm already looking at teams that I normally don't look at until January myself. Matter of fact, I don't know if you've seen any of the college basketball stuff, but wow, does Michigan look good right now?
Yeah, so that's what I'm understanding, right?
I mean, they've been just killing teams, good teams. And I believe I think they were 10-1 to win the championship. They went down to about 7-1. After this last tournament, but there are some really interesting things going on out there in college basketball. So I've really enjoyed going over that a little bit earlier than normal. I figured the earlier the better, especially because all these tournaments are going on. And
your basketball picks will be part of the bundle as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll be. Yes, I'm going to be hitting college basketball like last year. Especially, I love the futures, as you know. Last year was a very successful year for us, hitting Florida to win the national championship. So that was awesome. And I'm already. I think the first video I want to put out is probably just going to be something about, hey, here are these 10 teams to look out for. Even though we're only in December.
I can guarantee the listeners out there they won't be chalkers. Okay.
No, they will not.
No.
And one of the things that I also found crazy going through this, Mark, it's like matter of fact, I just finished reading about Seattle in the WCC, and there was a thing where he talks about how they had 3 starters. Matter of fact, this is the actual quote from the writer regarding Seattle. The Red Hawks returned 3 starters, miraculously the most of any team in the conference. 3 starters. And that's basically what I see all around in college basketball. When they have the section where it says key losses, I mean, almost every team has like 4 or 5 players in double figures or 8 points a game that are gone from their team. There is so much turmoil in college basketball because of the portal that it's been amazing. It's football's different because you've got 50, 60, 70 players on a team. And even though there's a lot of guys going back and forth, whatever, you don't, believe it or not, you don't feel the impact as much as it does in college basketball when there's only 15 players. And yet like 10 out of the 15 are being moved on every team all over the nation.
Hey, Greg, let me hop in here. I'm just looking at the chat here, and I see some nice chats, and I want to comment on a couple of them. One is John Putnam. He says that I should refer to Tennessee as my atomic dog this week against the Browns. Okay, I like that, the atomic dog.
Okay, now you got a new one.
Yeah, and I also like here, who is this from? Let me see. He's telling everybody to please subscribe to the channel. Where am I? I had it and I lost it. Let me see if I can find it here real quick.
Oh, Chris CB, New York Jets fan.
Yes, please support, subscribe to this channel, and go Jets. Is he a cousin of yours?
I don't know.
No,
actually, I do have a cousin, Chris, but he's not a Jet fan. He's a Nebraska Cornhusker fan.
I've got you.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him now.
Cool.
But you have to say it like this, Mark. You got to go Jets.
Yes,
my opinion.
Jets, right?
Yes. So,
yes.
Yeah. And then Go Sparty. DBK is somebody that one of our viewers is very loyal. Beat Duke. Okay. See, I didn't even know that. I guess he just played. Michigan State must have beaten Duke.
The football team made a nice coaching upgrade there too at Michigan State.
Pat Fitzgerald.
Yep.
I'm definitely nervous as a Michigan fan. I have to play them every year.
So. I would say so.
Have to go up against Pat Fitzgerald.
Yep.
Yes.
There'll be an upset or two along the way with him on the sidelines for sure.
Yep. If he could get Northwestern to where he was able to get them every few years, just imagine what he can do in Michigan State.
Exactly.
Yep. Oh, and then Danny talked about the World Cup. So the World Cup groups are out. And it looks like the United States is going to going to be in the same group as Paraguay, Australia, and a European team. That does seem like a very good group for the United States to be in.
Yeah, he's saying, my God, if they don't advance, my goodness, So it's a good draw for the U.S. in that World Cup for sure.
Yes, that would be embarrassing. But then again, our soccer team has been pretty embarrassing over the years, unfortunately. It is mind numbing, the disappointing that you would think, even just what was it when we had players like I rarely remember any of these guys' names, but Alexi Lawless is a name I remember.
Oh, yeah, right.
And there are players like that. And I'm sure if somebody brought some of these names up, I probably remember them. And we're talking about 20 years ago. I'm not talking about 4 years ago or 8 years ago. I'm talking 20, 25 years ago. And I can't believe that, because at that point in time, there was some interest in the sport in this country. And I can't believe now, 25 years later, it's worse. It hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah, it hasn't plateaued. It's gotten worse. And it's a strange to me, too, because MLS soccer is kind of semi-popular here as well. Maybe not to the degree it is in Europe, but the major soccer league is pretty popular. A lot of it's because of what in Miami down here and what they did in the big signing. But I agree with you. I'm kind of like the guy who only follows soccer when the World Cup is here.
Yeah, that's me.
Yep, that's like everybody in the U.S., I think.
Yeah, probably most of us.
Right.
Yeah. It's again, I don't know what the reason is, especially because all I hear about, again, I don't have a family, but all I hear about, we have an interesting term in this country called soccer moms.
Yep.
So I don't understand. If we have a term called soccer moms, that means that there's a lot of kids out there growing up playing soccer.
And obviously not developing.
No.
Right.
So I don't know why that is, but I guess some people might have a better answer. I did want to look up Michigan State's odds, and this would be a good one if you want to take Michigan State, because you could still get Michigan State at 30-1 to win the national championship.
Wow.
And I guess they're playing this Saturday at noon. So DBK was a little misleading on his original post. So they haven't played yet. They're playing on Saturday, but I think they're unbeaten. And I've already done my research on Michigan State, and they've already won a couple of good games so far this season. And, it's Tom Izzo, for crying out loud. So 30-1 is not a bad number at all. As a matter of fact, if they beat Duke, that number is going down to 10-1.
Really?
So if you want to take Michigan State, take them today before tomorrow's game. So
wise words.
Yeah, those are some of the things that I want to talk about. And Diego Pavia must have something going on at Vanderbilt, because the basketball team is 30-1 to win the national championship.
Well, they're liking what they're seeing there, huh?
Yeah, they do have this nice new coach who came in last year and is doing a good job.
Nice.
Okay, so give me a game. Give me because you have, again, what I was mentioning before I was going into the talk regarding the membership, that there are a couple of games in there in college football. There are a couple of NFL games. So give me a game that's not in there. There are only 9 this weekend. So give me a game, a free pick from any of the championship games that you want to share for the audience.
Okay, let me first of all say that anybody buys our selections here on the site. These are selections that I'm not using on my site. They're exclusive here to Proline TV. So what you get from me, what you get from Jim is exclusively from Proline TV. So you'll know that we're not watering these things down. You're getting right directly what it is exactly that we're liking here. Going on to the card here for a football game that I might take an interest in this week. I'm going to side to Virginia against Duke in the ACC matchup. And the reason I'm going to do that is these are two teams in my mind going a little bit in opposite directions. I'm not a big Duke fan at all by any means. I don't like, I think the head coach, Manny Diaz, is a little bit of a Peter Principle kind of a guy, a much, much better defensive coordinator than he is a head coach. And I think they arrived here as a shock of all shocks to make it to the ACC championship game. Are you kidding me? Where did they come from? And it's not like they deserve to. It's just that everybody else fell apart.
That's the ACC's fault for not having the correct tiebreaker procedures that they should have had. I mean, they should have some sort of an eternal vote or something like that, not just leave it up to the tiebreaker.
They've been out-yarded in 4 of the last 5 football games has Duke. And you take a look at Virginia on the other side of the coin. They were a team that was kind of sloppy to begin the football season here, and I had a lot of reasons to want to keep fading them. But they hit a switch. Somebody turned a switch on there in Virginia, and I don't know what happened, if a player came back or whatever it was, but this football team has got it in gear. Their last 4 games they played in a row, they've held each of those opponents to season-low yardage. They didn't allow more than 263 yards in any one of those 4 football games. They're playing really, really staunch defense, and I think Duke is a fraud, and they should not be here. My game I'll give everybody here on the platform today would be Virginia over Duke.
And that line has just moved up just a little to 4 now.
There we go.
They're starting off at 3, and that's still a good number. So this is a Virginia team that beat Duke 34-17 3 weeks ago on the road as a 5-point road dog, out yardaging Duke by nearly 300 yards.
How about that, huh?
And that, by the way, that score is not indicative of what kind of a blowout it was. That was not 17-point win. That was more. But it just shows you that they just dominated the game. And keep in mind that they've only had 1 loss since their week 2 loss to North Carolina State. And in that loss, they had a 6-0 lead in the second quarter when their quarterback went down. And they ended up losing the game to Wake Forest on a game-winning punt return touchdown.
And still beat Wake Forest by 120 yards in the game, held them to 203 yards.
There you go. Yeah, without their starting quarterback for 2.5 quarters.
Yep, there's nothing phony at all about this Virginia team.
No. So that is going to be some hotbed of recruiting now with the program on the upside and with James Franklin coming into Virginia Tech. I think it's going to be very hard for the other 51 states to try to enter Virginia and take some of those kids out with the way things are going to go on there in Virginia now. So it's amazing how quickly that can turn around for a state and a couple of programs. So.
I like what DBK just said here. He says that Mark doesn't pick favorites very often, so UVA must be golden. It's a value situation here, DBK. It's a team that I think is really under the radar, that's playing some really good football against a team that isn't, and it becomes value to a certain point. And if you can get them less than a touchdown, I don't consider myself violating the laws of favorites. I just think it's a good value play. And also, John Putnam asked us, how is Victor? Tell him I said hello, and I will do just that. Victor's doing really well. And I'll let him know, John, that you passed along hello to him, and he'll be glad to hear that. Thank you so much.
All right. So we are going to return again to talk more football. At some point, it's possible I might do a video on Sunday or Monday because college football, of course, will have a big day on Sunday. It's Selection Sunday. So that's when we find out the 12 teams and the brackets and all that. So hopefully I'll be able to pop on Sunday and just let everybody know what's going on, my initial feelings. We'll, of course, return again next week, starting with the regular schedule. And again, whether or not I do a second show, I probably will because next week's going to be all NFL. Matter of fact, I don't even think – is Army and Navy next week?
Army and Navy is next week, yes.
Okay. So we have one college game. And then the Bowls. The Bowls, do they also start next week?
They start after the Army-Navy game.
They do. Okay. Yeah. So we have one college game, the rest of the NFL, and then we'll have the regular schedule where we'll have Jim, of course, at the restaurant at Dom DeMarco's on Wednesday, Playbook ATS podcast on Thursday, and the 3 of us once again on Friday. So, Mark, have a great weekend. Should be a lot of fun these next 2 days watching college football, hopefully at its finest, and then we'll find out what the whole playoffs look like on Sunday.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, Greg. Be well. Good luck to you, and I'll catch you next week, okay?
Sounds good, Mark.